Hi everyone, my name is Julia DeFeo and my research is on the effects of wild and prescribed fire on the diversity of soil-dwelling arthropods in Pinelands ecosystems. To begin, we know that anthropogenic climate change is linked to shifts in global disturbance regimes, including shifts in global fire regimes. Climate change has been specifically linked to longer fire season lengths, higher frequency of fire weather, and increased fuel aridity. And this has led to 4.2 million hectares of additional burned forest in the western United States. However, we don't know as much about how these events are affecting ecological communities. We know that we can measure the effects of fire disturbance as a function of change in taxonomic diversity, which is often measured in terms of species richness, species abundance, or as a calculated index that considers both, like the Shannon-Weaver index. We can also consider the effects of fire disturbance on functional diversity, another fundamental dimension of biodiversity that we can measure by calculating the community-weighted mean of a functional trait, which is a phenotypic trait that influences organism fitness. When working with plants, ecologists often consider such traits as specific leaf area or leaf construction materials. But for animals, dispersal mode, body size, and trophic level are all important functional traits that provide information about community function. Previous research has led to the development of the intermediate disturbance hypothesis, which is a theory in community ecology that can help us to predict shifts in diversity along a disturbance gradient. Here along the x-axis, we have a continuum of disturbance expressed as relative frequency, intensity, or duration, which are all commonly studied disturbance gradients. Along the y-axis, we also have increasing diversity. At levels of low disturbance, we promote dominance by community members with high competitive ability. And at high disturbance, the community is dominated by those with high dispersal ability. We can then see that the intermediate disturbance hypothesis theorizes low diversity at each of these extremes, which is relative to maximized diversity at intermediate disturbance, which is theorized to promote the coexistence of the greatest number of species. The intermediate disturbance hypothesis can help to answer my main research question: how does fire severity influence the taxonomic and functional diversity of soil arthropods? First, we hypothesize that arthropods will exhibit peak taxonomic diversity at moderate fire severity. Second, we hypothesize that the functional traits body size and trophic level will be significant drivers of post-fire community assemblage. Specifically, reduced predation and resource competition at intermediate disturbance will establish a more even distribution of trophic roles, and community-level biomass and body size will also respond positively to improved resource availability at these sites. To test these hypotheses, we sampled arthropods from pitfall traps over 2 sampling campaigns in the summer of 2020 in 15 forested plots in the Pinelands National Reserve of New Jersey. We then constructed general linear models to assess the nature of the relationship between fire severity and diversity, both taxonomic and functional. Our models determined that arthropod abundance, which is a measure of diversity, was increased in sites that were treated with low severity fire at annual frequency, which supports our first hypothesis of maximized taxonomic diversity at intermediate disturbance. However, based on the results of our models, species richness exhibits a contrasting response and is greatest in fire-excluded sites. Therefore, we can conclude that fire severity does influence the taxonomic diversity of arthropods by causing a decline in species richness, although this result is paired with an increase in abundance at intermediate disturbance, as we anticipated based on the intermediate disturbance hypothesis. We expect that these shifts occur in response to significant microclimate changes that we observed in our sites, based on previous research suggesting that slight temperature increases correspond to higher arthropod diversity, but significantly high temperature increases cause reduced diversity. Furthermore, our models also found that at the community level, biomass is maximized at moderate disturbance in accordance with our hypotheses. Our models also found that the community-weighted mean of trophic level was reduced in sites that experienced low severity prescribed fire, indicating that these sites had reduced predator activity and a more even distribution of trophic roles. As with taxonomic diversity, we are able to conclude that fire severity also impacts functional diversity in accordance with our hypotheses. Because our models were not significant, we were not able to draw conclusions based on body size, but biomass and the trophic level community-weighted mean can be modeled by the intermediate disturbance hypothesis, as predicted by previous research establishing that prescribed fire regimes can increase trophic niche space and provide increased mineral nutrient availability and plant growth that especially supports herbivore populations at lower trophic levels. Before concluding, I would like to thank my research advisors and funding sources, especially the New Jersey Space Grant Consortium Fellowship Program. I would also like to invite anyone who has any additional questions or comments to reach out to me by email for further discussion. Thank you.